Hello and welcome to the 7th episode of Kerbal Space Endeavour. I'm the guy who fracks things up, and as you can see, things explode and swirl out of control and fly away. So after some redesigning, I tried to launch this rocket again, but guess what? Something's happening again. And something broke off. See? And something broke off again. As we had an issue with the previous episodes where even though we have procedural fairings, some things seem to break off anyway. Maybe it's due to the fact that I am flying so fast, or I don't know. I haven't figured it out. Maybe you guys figure it out and comment it so I can know what's going on. So as you just saw, we're launching a new rover. This is another rover mission, but this time the rover is heading towards Minmus. And while this rover is on its way to Minmus, we are going to the Surveyor 3, which is orbiting Minmus right now, and fast forward so we uncover as much as we can of the map, so when we get to Minmus, we have a good location that we can land on. So then we got an alarm clock that tells us, we have an SO change, and it is time for some reorientation to get as close as we can to Minmus, and then we want to go and land on Minmus. So here's just, again, normal maneuvering. When we reach periapse, we burn to get our orbit down, so we do not escape into the vast emptiness of space. So we'll just get it down right here, and that actually looks pretty good because we're gonna land right in the flats. And once again, with a little bit of power of post-editing and fast-forwarding, we skip the part where we warp, say, time accelerate. So here we did our first stage, and if you look at this craft, it looks pretty much the same as the Rover 1, the Rover Maximus, who ended horribly on the moon. However, this has a little bit of a redesign. I changed some few bits and I got rid of the scientific stuff I couldn't use. And yes, that was me burning towards the planet because I was descending not fast enough. Because the planet has such a low gravity, you don't really fall towards it. It's more kind of a gliding, I guess. Even though gliding is probably the wrong word because you can't glide when there is no atmosphere. However, once again, we have more than enough delta V to land just on our engine. And then we're just gonna refuel the stage that we used. And guess what? Things don't always go to plan. Just in case, I'm always twitchy with this, quick saving. Actually, we did successfully complete Land of Minmus. We got that completed. We've just received experimental data from space around Minmus. We got a whole bunch of more money. And transmit or recover scientific data from space around Minmus. We just did that. Why does it say that again? Whatever. Decouple right there. Activate the engine. No, 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 that was wrong. That was wrong. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Switch to the rover. Rover, get down. Okay, this thing is a little bit too light. Like, really too light. It's like we're bouncing all around or something. And brake. Okay, so we have this nice little probe right here. Woohoo! Bouncing around. This is freaking awesome. Oh, we just lost connection. Whatever. Okay, let's open up the photovoltaics. And let's start doing some science. Control from here. Collect laser data. Zzzt. Zzzt. When exposed to the laser, the surface of these flatlands begin to melt into a greenish pool of liquid. Interesting. Let's send this data back. And here we go. We have another contract complete. And we get more science because we did science. What does the temperature read? The ground seems to reflect most of the sun's thermal energy, yet the ground temperature is much higher than it should be. This warrants further investigation. Yes, it does. Okay, we probably don't need both photovoltaics out, so let's just fold the second one in. So if we tumble over, we don't lose both of them, so the rover doesn't become useless. So we look at ScanSat and we determine that if we go up these slopes, we can take some more science. So as we progress further up, we were able to slide kind of upward the hill. But then we gather the science of the slopes, and we just see here that there's actually other biomes that we can get. So right around the slopes, there's not only the midlands, a very, very short layer of midlands, but also lowlands. And then one of my viewers suggested we rename our vessel, and now it is called the Jade Rabbit. So our new rover on Minmus is called the Jade Rabbit. So then, with again a lot more fast forwarding and rolling up this hill, we eventually make it to our destination. Keep in mind, this is fast forwarded with 16 times acceleration. So this took a long time to get up. And yes, we were just rolling through a rock, because rocks still don't have any, well, they do have texture, but they don't like actually exist. You can just drive through them, like the trees on Kerbal and all of the other stuff. So here is when we made it over the Midlands section, and then we finally reach somehow afterwards the lowlands. So we now have encountered the greater flats, the midlands, the lowlands, and the slopes. And after transmitting all of that scientific data, we hop back to the science lab with more than enough science to unlock 2 new nodes. And then it is time for the next mission. And the next mission is actually a very big mission, because this will be our first attempt of trying to get to the moon. And it is Bill, Bob, and of course our MVP, Jebediah. And here you have the drive stage and the lander beautifully shown up. However, I did miscalculate while I was building this. I was a little bit distracted from my viewers. But yeah, so we did not have enough Delta V on board to get to the moon. So our first moon mission requires a refueling mission, actually. So yes, this is here the refueling mission right away. So we had enough fuel to get into a stable orbit with our moon mission, but it was not enough to get us to the moon. So here's the refueler, which is an unmanned mission. And even on this little thing, I somehow miscalculated a little bit and did not bring enough fuel along so we could get it. And here we just switched to the Space Center so we can fast forward and have a quicker rendezvous. Because of your low altitude, you cannot fast forward at the best speed that the game can offer. So we had to use the trick of going to the Space Center to fast forward. And now let's switch back to old me. Whoa, 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 whoa! Little too close there. Should have brought RCS probably. And yes, I should have brought RCS, because then this whole thing could have been probably made a lot easier, and maybe then the accident which is about to happen would not have happened. However, you see the drive stage is pretty much out of fuel. So we close up the solar panels so we don't bump into them accidentally and break them off, because that would be rather unfortunate. Now on the probe body right up there is a section here, yes, this section right here, from Kerbal Attachment System. Well, actually, it's the universal storage mode, but it has Kerbal attachment with it. And so I stored some pipe ends on this, and this will allow me, without docking, to transfer fuel between those two crafts. So before you do this, however, it is recommended you turn off RCS and you turn off SAS on these crafts, because as soon as you link these two crafts together with these fuel lines, the game thinks that the two craft are now one, and therefore the center of mass is somewhere in between these two crafts, and that can sometimes lead to a little bit of a problem. And as you can see here, as I pump fuel more over, things start to kind of twitch and wobble, and suddenly things seem to be getting quite out of hand. I'm like, whoa, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm like, oh, no, I want to get to it. I want to unlink this before things clash together and explode. And just look at this freaking out. I'm just like, whoa. But yeah, that's Kerbal Attachment System for you. There's some other bugs that mod has. As awesome as it is not updated officially to 0.24.2, so I actually had to reload. And this is the reason why I couldn't put another difficulty level on myself, where I could not quick load or quick save because of things like that. That's not really my fault. It's just some just some bugs. However, this time we did get the fueling done fast enough, so I was able to refuel our drive stage, and I put the strut pipe end back into the refueler, which was actually named or recommended named after Project Oversight. One of my viewers suggested it. And also, thanks to a few people who were watching me when I was recording this, they pointed out to me that my return stage doesn't have any parachutes on them, which would be rather inconvenient, because I don't want Bill, Bob, or Jebediah to die. So I brought some additional parachutes. And once again, with Kerbal Attachment System, I was trying to bring them towards the craft and install them. However, somehow when you bring along one of these parachutes right there, it brings the center of weight off the EVA suit a little bit off balance, and then you can't really fly around as well. You just kind of steer out of control. So my idea was I just bring the entire container along, which has these parachutes on board, and instead of just taking them and trying to fly around them, I just tried to attach them as quickly as I can so I don't lose control and we don't have floating, like back there, floating debris in space around Kerbin, because that could turn into a problem. That actually in reality is a big problem, because when debris or even just small specks of dust fly at over 200 kilometers of speed or something, they can pretty much penetrate any known metal or any object. So if this thing would fly fast enough, it could pierce any other craft that there is. I mean, it wouldn't happen in this game because they did not implement that or anything, but in reality, that is actually a big issue. So let's get back into the craft right here. And now we need to start planning our acceleration towards the moon. So we set up our nodes, we start accelerating, blah blah blah, the usual stuff, until we get an encounter that I felt comfortable with. Set ourselves an alarm clock, and then we just correct our orbit a little bit, and again with a little bit more fast forwarding, we make it into a stable orbit around the moon. So now it is time to switch over to our lander, and I figured out I also forgot to put on a second, or actually any photovoltaics onto the drive stage, which would be inconvenient because then Bill and Bob would freeze to death, and we really don't want that. So now what I wanted to show you guys is the raster prop mod, which I'm using in here, that gives me all of these cool things, with which I want to do a mission once where I'm just doing a complete IVA mission, but since this is a very important mission and we do want to land safely on the moon, I'm not gonna do it. And now it is time for the separation. So let's get away from the drive stage and we don't break anything off, and head down towards the planet. And we'll set ourselves up and just slowly descend. Of course, we want to check the map. And as you can see right here, this is our periapse, and right there is an anomaly, and I really want to check out this anomaly. So we're gonna alter our descent to be as close to this anomaly as possible, because yeah, anomaly, we want to figure out what this is and why does it show up on our scans. Alright, and here we're in our final stage of descent. We killed all of our vertical velocity. We're just now falling towards the moon. And let's switch back to old me. We have light. And we have a landing. A little bit on the slope side here, but we are good. We made a landing. Whew, now that was stressful. Let's collect the laser data. The dense, highly compacted surface in this crater is hardly affected by the laser. Interesting. Can we transmit the data? Yes, we can. Very good. Do we have a crew report? Boy, the lighting up here sure looks weird, almost as if we were on a soundstage or something. Did we actually go to the moon, or was this all just commercials and videotaped? Anything? Was I not smart enough to bring a thermometer on board? Of course, I forgot to bring a thermometer. Yes, I'm pretty sure I should start putting up a checklist or something. So, let's do an EVA. From space just above the moon's northwest crater, it looks like a really big rock. And let's store that. And we are on the moon. And Jebediah is the first one. And what does he have to say? The ground materials appear to be a combination of basaltic rock and breccia. Okay, let's keep the data, and we're gonna do an EV report. There was something you were going to say, and even though you spent the entire trip over here perfecting your delivery, you somehow managed to forget it. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Plant the flag. The first moon landing. Jebediah was the first, but for sure not the last. Okay. Let's bring this back on board and see what of this we can transfer back. Review stored data, that is something we can transmit. That is also something we can transmit. This is something we are going to keep. And we have completed a contract. On our track, confirmed the flag has been planted on the moon. Nicely done. And we get a whole bunch of money. Now here comes the question. Does the Space Center want us to do anything else on the moon? But the Space Center has nothing new to offer. So, we've got Jebediah on the moon. We have new available unlocks due to his send it back data. However, this will be the end of this episode, so we will see more what we can do on the moon and how we get back home in the next episode. My name's Antilles. Thank you for watching.